Good day. Happy New Year. My wish is for a great new year to you all. This is the 53rd episode of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast, the first for 2023. Thanks for your support last year. If you haven't yet done so, please subscribe, like, and share this podcast, and feel free to leave your comments on the channel. Desmond says a happy new year will come only with fundamental personal and societal changes. His comments come up next. Krystal Cameron picks up where she left off last year on how sex and family structure shape a society. Now, to my commentary, frankly speaking. Over the New Year weekend, a national event, the intimate concert, took place in St. Anne. And once again, there was on display the incompetence of the authorities and the indiscipline of Jamaicans generally. Frankly speaking, this is a case about lack of competence and Jamaican institutions, not just about a traffic snarl in one parish. By the way, just a passing reference to Sting, also staged over the holidays in St. Anne. It offered a reminder of the need for police training in crowd control. Did you see the plainclothes officers? Some crouched with guns drawn as people panicked after some rabble-rousing. The intimate concert featuring Beres and Buju attracted an unexpected massive crowd, expected by most people, except the authorities. And it led to gridlock. Large sections of the two-lane St. Anne Main Road, or the so-called North Coast Highway, stretching for miles, became a parking lot with 4 and 5 lanes. There are several ways to analyze this. The first is to know that it didn't have to happen. Another thing to consider is to never believe that this was about 30,000 people or so going to a show. So what if they were delayed? Frankly speaking, the gridlock shut off thousands of other people going about their business. People who live in nearby communities, too numerous to mention, who couldn't get about. People going to and coming from the airport in Montego Bay. Ask the people on the Knutsford bus that took 4 hours from Montego Bay to Jackson. Ask local residents who wanted to get to other events, including some in Ocho Rios. It didn't have to happen, frankly speaking. It shouldn't have happened. At Easter, when a party at Pearly Beach across from Dunsriver Falls locked down from Ocho Rios to St. Anne's Bay and stretching all the way west to beyond where Intimate took place, at Plantation near Priory, there was a stink on social media and in the local St. Anne community. It was unbelievable to many that people took 4 hours to move 2 miles in a car. What is unbelievable is that there would have been a repeat. The St. Anne Municipal Corporation and its chairman, Sidney Stewart, and the police said it wouldn't happen again. The main tool would be to use a shuttle system, a well-known, tried and proven, easy to use traffic control method for large events. They did not use a shuttle system at New Year's. They did not, resulting in colossal waste of time and energy. The bad taste in the mouths of so many out for a good time, and the entrenchment of self doubt about whether our people can manage anything at all, or whether it's inevitable that we slip into disorder. Rebel Salute comes up in weeks at the same venue in St. Anne. End of story. Oh, one more thing. The area being referenced, the roadway, Drax Hall to Priory, has now become a daily dashboard for near inevitable delays, a response of indiscipline and dangerous driving. The bottleneck at Priory that can be easily managed has been left there to waste thousands of man hours every week. In the event, an increasing number of drivers no longer wait in the traffic lines that add 20 minutes to the area commute. So there is the turning of the road with one lane in either direction into 2 or 3 lanes in one direction, with the unlawful use of the soft shoulder and sometimes simultaneously the use of the right turning lane to go straight. The response of the police has been abysmal and laughable. From time to time, they have 2 or 3 officers standing at one point, which itself becomes orderly. And that sparks the flashing of lights. And 200 meters down the road, the triple bypass is in vogue. It's moronic. And you see it all over the country, don't you? Here now is Desmond Richards.
I would like to wish all our viewers and listeners and everyone a happy new year. But I also know that unless fundamental changes are made personally and by the government, this will be an empty wish. Let us take the murder rate. Last year, over 1,400 Jamaicans were murdered. Now, it has been the case for the last 20 years, where every year for the last 20 years, over 1,000 Jamaicans have been murdered. Now, where is the plan to address the murder situation in the country? Where is the plan? I don't see any plan. So what is clear is that whatever strategies have been used for the past 20 years have failed. So we need some fundamental changes if we are going to see a different result at the end of this year. New plan. Hundreds of thousands in the workforce are earning minimum wage while inflation is running away. Cost of living out of control. Where is the plan to address income inequality in the country? Where is the plan? Last year we had over 400 fatal accidents on our road. Now, where is the plan to address dangerous and careless driving on our roads? Where is the plan? If we don't implement a plan, if we don't address this situation frontally, then next year we are going to repeat what happened in 2022. 1 million sons and daughters of ex-slaves who slaved this country are still without land and homes, homeless and landless. Where is the plan to address landlessness in Jamaica? Where is the plan? Where is the plan to school the children of black Jamaicans who are leaving school unable to read and write. So unless we address these fundamental issues, thousands, hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans are not going to have a happy new year. No, these are the issues which I suggest should be on the agenda of our leaders and of our people. I am suggesting that the next talks, the Vale Royal talks between the government and the opposition, these are some of the fundamental issues which must be on the table. They must be discussed if we are going to have a happy new year.
That's Desmond Richards, journalist and founder of Internet Rebel Radio, Jamaica. And now to Krystal Cameron.
He needs to know that there's pain in life.
Why are we like this? Why is this country like this?
The flexible system. Africa is truly vast and diverse, with more genetic diversity than the rest of the world combined. In southern Africa, have a more monogamous and less patriarchal society. Once you get to West Africa, you have very high levels of polygamy, where 50% of the female population are part of polygamous marriages, and then in East Africa you have a separate family structure. And as we talked about before, Islam and Ethiopia are part of non-African larger family structures. The system's also called flexible because the clan has much more power vis-a-vis the nuclear family. Father might not have as much influence, but the slack is picked up by various cousins, grandpas, uncles, and the like. In most countries before European colonialism, polygamy was practiced, but by a tiny minority of the population. In a lot of countries in Africa, it was the norm for 5% of men to have a third of the women. The flexible system predominates in Africa and echoes through its diaspora. In these societies, the actual family is much weaker, with the clan, and especially the women of the clan, doing much of the job of raising the children. In a society in which so many women are in the hands of a small amount of men, it creates no sex for large amounts of young men, who in turn turn to violence so as to take women or to improve their social status. This creates large amounts of violence, in which societies with polygamy often have large amounts of crime. In societies in which the nuclear family and strict family structure is weaker, with the clan being more important, it allows much more male promiscuity. Women tend to be viewed with condescension in much of Africa, while in fact being the bedrock of the society. As J.D. Unwin said in his fascinating book Sex and Civilization, a society's ability to control sex is indicative of its level of development, and once societies lessen sexual restrictions, their level of development falls. This is since men are incentivized to work harder if they know their paternity is assured, and women to put more effort into their children. Energy is channeled into things besides getting laid, and people aren't suspicious of other people trying to compete for their sex. Fathers establish an idea of discipline for children. Without it, it's hard to have a conception of a unified God, as well as rule of law, which is also the worst in sub-Saharan Africa of anywhere in the world. This means that for lots of African male culture, they try to push prowess and power rather than integrity and responsibility. And the result of this is that if you talk to people who try to do business in Africa, it's difficult to get African workers to show up at the same time at the same day because there isn't that culture of responsibility. Cross-reference this with someone who has lived or tried to work in Africa, and they'll just tell you that this is the case. This leads me to the next point, where Africa will, over time, gradually strengthen the power of its families, and also, at the same time, become a more developed society.
That's Krystal Cameron, creative and CEO of Krystal Cameron Designs. Endgame. In the last 2 weeks, we lost two Jamaicans of great competence and ability, Merrick Needham and Ambassador Richard Bernal. Both could fit easily onto the world stage, and in parts they did. Merrick Needham was a man who followed tradition, insisted on the rules, and was a master at protocol and symbols. and he was insistent that we should get it right. Ambassador Bernal was a man of big ideas, willing to put himself out front in articulating them and in working to make them happen in institutions that mattered. They served Jamaica well. Rest in peace, Merrick and Ambassador. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until next week, I'm Franklin McKnight.